All right. Woo-hoo! Yes! All right. Hey, guess what here? It's Andrew's Football. It's live stream. Man, I am jacked up to be here. I've got a fantastic show for you as I'm going to do something a little different. Normally, I would break down what's going to happen in week 11, but instead of breaking down what's going to happen week 11, I'm going to go ahead and kind of talk about kind of a preview of what I'm going to do Monday. Before I get to that, let's. Oh man, I'm telling you. You know what? I don't even need it, but I'm going to drink some coffee anyway because I'm that type of guy. I'm that type of guy. I just made this cup. All right. Here's the drill. My work situation has changed. This week and next week, I'm going through training. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, which is torture for me. I'm not a morning person, but hey, it's got to be what's got to be. The schedule after that will prevent me from doing live streams on Tuesday and Fridays, but for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do it. And then what I'm going to do is go back to the old thing. I'm going to release a video Tuesday before I go into work, and then Friday before I go into work. The Tuesday video will break down what happened during the week, and then Friday will be kind of a preview. Of course, if you go to askandrewsfootball@yahoo.com, I will answer every question I can. Patreon, anybody want some action on the game, just send me an email. I will respond. Again, everything for 2019 is free of charge. I am not charging for anything. So I'll give you a spoiler alert, though. I've gone through this week's games, and I'm going to continue to do some research. I don't see any games I like. Action is very light this week. I'm using the William Hill Sportsbook. It's in Iowa. I can put action down this week if I see a game. There's only one game that I kind of sort of like, but I kind of want to look at it a little harder. Thursday night's going to be a great game. We got two teams that are tied at 6-4. Indianapolis at Houston. Oh, man, we got some comments already. Hey, Jimmy Stoneful, Raiders and Jets. All right. Here's the thing, Argo. Normally, I've been really high on the Raiders, okay? I've been really high on the Raiders, but a West Coast team going to the East Coast, that's tough, but the Jets are only a 2.5-point dog. The Jets are only a 2.5-point dog. I probably would take the Raiders in this one, but you got a West Coast team going to an East Coast team. Hey, man, I got you covered, man. Argo, I got you covered. All right, I got you covered, Argo, because here's the deal, Argo. I am giving you the line right now from William Hill. So, and I'd be with you. Am I driving to Iowa to put action down on that game? I want to wait. I want to wait because this is a game I could see the Raiders losing. They didn't look that good at home against the Bengals with a backup quarterback. All right, they put up 17. Here's the thing. They start off 0-2, and now they're 6-4. And if they win, they're going to be 7-4 going to Kansas City, who's also going to be 7-4. So that's going to be a great game. I'll give you a spoiler alert. Andy Reid, fresh off of bye, where the Jets have got to go from the West Coast to the East Coast, play hopefully a tough physical Jets team. So I'll spoiler alert. Next week, Kansas City, maybe even go with the over, even though that was the one game last year or week 2 that you really want to take the under because it was only 28-10. The performance that they had on Monday night, a lot of people didn't like it. Hopefully we got some people who want to talk Chiefs. But as far as this game, it's 2.5. I'm a little surprised. I think it's going to go up. I think people are going to jump on that Raiders bandwagon. But yeah, 2.5, that's a good number. That is a good number. In case you missed out, due to a new work schedule, I'm going to go ahead and do live streams Tuesday and Friday, same time for the next 2 weeks. But due to my work schedule, I'll have to be able to just release videos. I'm going to answer emails, and then I'm going to do a live stream Saturday. And then I'm not going to do a live stream while the playoffs are going on. I mean, come on. I don't do that. I'm not going to, you guys know better. All right. So I'm very excited about this. I'm going to keep the live stream going on, but it's going to be Saturday. And hey, look, if you guys got lives, you guys got some partying, hey, I get it. I nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about, well, we're going to talk Chiefs, man. We're going to talk Chiefs. And I wanted to break down the playoff picture. Oh, man. Hey, good job putting action on the Chiefs. Good job putting action on the Chiefs. So, hey, Jimmy, man, I can't tell you how happy I am that you ended up making money. This week's a tough week. The only game that really stood out to me, and let me go back here. The only game that stood out to me that I really liked, and the Jets are take the Raiders in 2.5. The only game that stands out to me is Seattle traveling to Philly. Seattle's a 1.5 point dog. So I like Seattle straight up in this game. The money line would be 105, but Philly's been playing tough, and that's something that that would be the only game. So my opinion, take this week off. The only exception may be if T.Y. Hilton comes back, and I am too. That's the reason why. But I'm going to hold off because a West Coast team traveling across the country to play a team that's getting better. Golden Rooster, what is up, brother? So, and Tim, hey man, you have a great point. I'm glad you said that because I'm going to touch base on this here just in a second. But yeah, I am surprised the Eagles are favored. That's the only game that stands out. But this is a week. I'm going to be honest, this is a week you should probably take off. This is a week you take off, you watch what's going on. Kansas City next week at home against the Raiders, who had to travel across the country. What's Andy Reid's record after a bye? Anybody know? If somebody could post it, it'd be great. Off the top of my head, I think it's something crazy. I think it's like 17-3. So that's a good game next week. Next week's a good game, Kansas City. So some weeks just take a week off because there's a lot of really good matchups here. And my boy Tim, this is a great comment. All right, first off, let's look on the positive of Eric Fisher. This is his first game back, and he's been out since I want to say week 3. All right, so he's been gone a long time. So he really hasn't had a chance to really come back. I think that Mahomes not 100%. I don't think that Eric Fisher is really 100%. So if you're looking off last week, let's give him a break. How does he look next week against the Raiders is key because the Raiders have got 2, and I'm glad you said this, because the Raiders have got 2 rookie defensive ends. And it's funny because Max Williams, picked in the 4th round, is outplaying the Clyde Farrell, who was picked in the 4th overall pick. That Raiders defensive line is very young and very good. But how are they going to handle the Chiefs who are going to come off a bye fresh and healthy? So the thing is with Eric Fisher is, if you don't know the whole story, it's actually funny because Joe Staley, who's the left tackle for the San Francisco 49ers, both of these guys went to Central Michigan. Joe Staley hosted Eric Fisher when Eric Fisher came to Central Michigan. And it's funny, they have the same exact story. They were both 2-star tight ends. that redshirted a year, blew up, decided to play left tackle, both first-round picks. Eric Fisher, though, went number 1 overall in a really bad draft. It's really unfortunate because the year before, if you remember, Andrew Luck went number 1, and then before that, Cam Newton went number 1. So it was a bad year to have the first pick in the draft. And do you remember that? Do you remember people wanted Geno Smith? I remember this one guy who swears up and down. He actually coaches his son's football. Good guy. But he swore up and down, you got to take Geno Smith number 1. You got to take Geno number 1. I'm just like, oh, God. My brain, no, please don't take Geno. And the Chiefs even worked him out. And they're like, yeah, Geno, come work out. Number 1, yeah. All right. I'm sorry, I made enough fun of Geno Smith here. Love my coffee, man. Love my coffee. Got him jacked up today. Oh, man, it was a great football game, great week. All right, so he's got a lot of athleticism, but he doesn't play with the mean streak that I would like to see and like you would like to see. He's basically a guy who's a bulked up tight end. To be perfectly honest, that's really his natural position because even though he put on a lot of weight at Central Michigan, his ideal weight, he's one of these guys, if he's smart, after he's done playing, he's going to be one of these linemen who plays at 300, probably weighs about 225, 230. All right, to be perfectly honest, if left tackle didn't pay 4 to 5 times more than tight end, he would be a tight end. And that's really his natural position, not left tackle. But he's not a bad player. He signed a relatively decent contract. Would I really want to replace him? Not really, only because he premier left tackles can command almost double of what Eric Fisher's making. And Eric Fisher isn't terrible, but no, he doesn't play like the mean streak he should have. He's more athlete than brawler. However, in the West Coast offense, which uses a lot of screens and requires a lot of athleticism from the offensive line positions, I think Eric Fisher is a big asset. So fantastic. You know what? Because all my comments are now, you have to be 18 or older, so I can say this without no care here. Fucking great comment, Tim. If you're not familiar with what YouTube's doing is to comply with FTC regulations. Now, all my comments are all my videos are 18 and above. So let me see here, man. Some great stuff. I think Kansas City's going to look different. Kansas City's going to hit a hot streak, I think, really after the bye because they're going to play New England in New England, and to me, that's a winnable game. I really think it's a winnable game. We'll see what the line is, but I might actually put action on the Chiefs. I might just take the money line, depending on what it is. I'll let you guys know. The Chiefs are going to get on a run, and this is part of the thing that I was going to talk about. Rivers, I think Rivers is desperate because he sees that this was probably the last chance that he would be able to take a Chargers team to the playoffs because they really did have and I say did have a playoff caliber team. Okay, I was going to save this, but I'll just start this now. Where is it? All right, you know what? Here it is. Okay, I'm all ate up. Okay, okay. The AFC. This is the AFC playoff picture here. It's covering up my gorgeous face here. Here's the thing with the Chargers. They're the 12th seed right now. This is the last team that Phillip Rivers could be a part of that had an opportunity to go to the playoffs. I took this straight off of ESPN. And after that loss, and I'm going to cover up the Chargers because that's exactly what happened with that loss. All right. The Chargers, which had a really good opportunity to go to a Super Bowl with all that talent, now sees it going away. And I think Rivers could be gone after this year. I actually think the Chargers, if they're smart, when they go to LA, get a new quarterback. I could see them actually in Argo. You took the words just right out of my mouth. You posted it as I was going to say it. They're going to probably trade Rivers in the offseason, get a quarterback, and then what they're going to do is probably get a guy to come in for a year. It may be Geno Smith. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. And my boy Tim. Maybe, but I don't think so. And the reason why I say this, Argo, is because I remember watching Geno Smith his senior year at West Virginia. He played against K-State, and K-State just kicked the snot out of him, and he was behaving like a child. He was throwing temper tantrums. Players and coaches trying to get him to calm down. He looked like a 6-year-old girl on the sidelines, and he got visibly rattled. When you're able to get that rattled in a game, a college football game, the NFL's too big for you. That's the problem that Geno Smith had. He didn't have the mental makeup. I think down the line he may be a serviceable quarterback. He's actually the backup in LA for the Chargers. And if they do get rid of Rivers, I could see Geno Smith being the starter for that 1 year while you're grooming a quarterback. I'm going to talk a lot more about this during the draft, but if you look here for the playoff situation, see how the Chargers here are basically out of it right now, 4-7. So it's a shame, but I don't think Geno Smith is really ever going to be an NFL quarterback. He may have a year or two, and you know the Chiefs did drop a few interceptions. They should have. We got 4. Could have had 5. Honey Badger had 1 right in his hands. Now, I set up the outline a little differently, but I'm going to break down the AFC first. Being Golden Rooster, you took the words out of my mouth, man. Exactly, and that's the thing. People don't understand how difficult being an NFL quarterback is. In college, it's so different because you're running the same offense you've run since you're basically 5 or 6 years old. It's the same exact offense. Your offense doesn't change from Pop Warner to junior high to high school to college, but then you get to the NFL and it's a completely different thing. Now, a lot of the college systems are now being implemented in the NFL, but Lamar Jackson, but it doesn't last. I'll go off on a little rant here. People are sounding like Lamar Jackson. It's a running quarterback. We've never seen this before. 4 years ago, Cam Newton won the goddamn NFL MVP doing the same fucking thing. But they sound like, oh, a running quarterback. It is a little different because Cam Newton's big, and Lamar Jackson's fast. But we've seen this before. All right, people want to sound like a running quarterback's a thing nobody's ever heard of before. It really gets annoying because before you had Lamar Jackson, you had Cam Newton. Before Cam Newton, you had Michael Vick. Before Michael Vick, you had Randall Cunningham. There might have been a guy in between who was also a good running quarterback. I'm just spitballing here. Before Randall Cunningham, you had John Elway. There was a quarterback played for the Bears who almost had 1,000 yards rushing in the 70s, but he sucked as a passer. And then in the 60s, you had the original scrambling quarterback, and that was Fran Tarkenton. So running quarterbacks, Fran Tarkenton started it in the 60s. All right, so we've had running quarterbacks for like 60 fucking years, but people want to sound like it's a running quarterback. Never seen this before. Okay, my rant is over. Okay, here's the thing with the AFC. If you look here, the number 1 seed is New England. Buffalo, if you look, they're going to be a playoff team at 7-3. Okay, but their schedule does get really tough. All right, I preluded the Baltimore. All right, listen to this schedule coming up for the Ravens. You guys, let me know what you think. At the Rams, San Francisco at home, at Buffalo, Jets at home, at Cleveland. Now here's the thing about the Cleveland game. Cleveland beat them. Cleveland, if you haven't noticed, I know my boy Tim, if you're still watching, Tim, I know how much you love the Brownies. They're 4-6. They're right in the hunt. They're right in the hunt here. They are right in the mix. They actually, I don't think they're going to the playoffs, but they have a chance. So this game is big. This game is big. Golden Rooster, you're on fire today, brother. You know what? I might do that next. You know what, Jimmy? Next time I'll do that because it's a lot of fun. I do it quite a bit. That's the cool thing about the Cleveland Browns, though, Tim, is that since they've got Kareem Hunt active and they're using him, they're 2-0 and they're starting to play better. But you lose Myles Garrett, who it's funny how you talked about Eric Fisher being soft. I think Myles Garrett's soft. As far as a pure pass rusher, he may be the best pure pass rusher we've seen in the NFL. But I also seen several games where the Browns play where if they get down and teams run against them, they're successful running against them. And I don't see Myles Garrett really stuffing the run. But that Myles Garrett loss is going to be big for a team that is really in a playoff position. As you look, I know 10 sounds crazy, but Buffalo and Indianapolis play each other. All right? You get an opportunity to play Pittsburgh. I mean, you're right in the thick of things. And anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but bottom line, they are in the thick of it. Basically, my point was Baltimore traveling to Cleveland is not a gimme. And then they end the season home against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh could be fighting for a 6th seed. So if you're a Chiefs fan, let me ask you this here. You already beat Baltimore. Is there 2 losses there? Is there 2? That's all you need. That's all you need. At Rams, and that's on Monday night. San Francisco, at Buffalo, Jets at home, at Cleveland, Pittsburgh. I think there's 2 losses there. Are you talking about Geno Smith or Cam Newton, Tim? Argo, that's exactly what I'm talking about. They did peak too soon. You know who hasn't peaked? The Chiefs. You know when they're going to peak is if Tyreek Hill comes back after the bye. Oh, Garrett. Yeah, I heard like he's into poetry and has like a weird bunch of interests. And it's a shame because I mean he's just gifted as all can be. I've rarely seen a player. If you remember, he went to Texas A&M. People thought he was more physically gifted than Von Miller, but as Golden Rooster said, that's a guy like Von Miller. I know it sounds bad as a Chiefs fan, but I love me some Von Miller. I love Von Miller. And then this is also a great thing here. That's another thing about Russell Wilson. This is a guy who I really didn't think was that great of a player, and every year he gets better and better and better and better. You know, I thought that if you heard this analogy, I'm stealing this from Daniel Jeremiah off the NFL Network, and I listen to this guy a lot. He says that you break quarterbacks down 2 categories. You got either the truck or you got the trailer. Or actually he says tractor and trailer. I love Alex Smith, but Alex Smith was the trailer. All right. Alex Smith wasn't going to pick up your team and lead you to the promised land, but couldn't he take an average team to the playoffs? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But is he going to take a team like the Miami Dolphins and lead them to the playoffs? No. He's not. But Russell Wilson, when he won that first Super Bowl several years ago, they had that great defense. They had Marshawn Lynch. I'm like, this guy's not that good. But watch him play now. And he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. But to kind of talk about this, Baltimore did peak too soon, and their schedule gets brutal. And here's a team, Kansas City, as you look at 3, Kansas City already beat Baltimore. Kansas City has one tough game. And I know they're going to play Raiders, but trust me, that's not going to be – I'm telling you right now, they're going to beat the Raiders. They're going to beat the snot out of the Raiders. Then they play New England, and then they have 4 very winnable games. I really think Kansas City's going to finish 11-5. I really think they're going to finish 11-5. And the thing is, it's going to be a good thing for the Kansas City Chiefs because 11-5 helps this slip, which is over 10.5 wins. I need that. So, but bottom line, talking about the AFC playoff picture, I don't know if they've been playing. I don't know if they've been playing possum, but they've had some injuries. They've had some injuries. I need 11, man. That Tennessee game really screwed me because I was really counting on 12. I'm counting on the Patriots beating Kansas City, but can Kansas City beat New England? Absolutely. I've been watching New England. The offense isn't great. The defense is lights out, but the defense, they have not been able to slow down Mahomes. Let me ask you this here. Kansas City puts up 31 against New England in Foxborough. Is that a win? I think it is. But last year it wasn't. This year I think it is. I think so. So, and then you have Indianapolis and Houston. They play each other Thursday night. Marlon Mack's injured. Apparently he's not going to play, but if he plays and T.Y. Hilton plays, they're a 4-point dog. Put action on them to win. I would take straight up. Golden Rooster, this is an excellent question. Right now, today, their defense is the best in football. What they've done after 10 games is they've given up 108 points. That's 11. That's under 11 points a game. That's the best since like sometime in the 60s. It's phenomenal. And that's in my opinion. That's my opinion. Is that they have a lot of good players, but not great players. But Bill Parcells is just done a fantastic job because what they do is they confuse the hell out of you. You saw it on Monday night when they played the Jets, and they're like, I'm seeing ghosts out there. I have no idea what the hell they're doing. And he's right. They confuse the hell out of people. They played man coverage. It's old school type defense, but it's old school where most defenses want to cover the run. This is old school to prevent you from passing. And then they play decent against the run, but that's actually how you beat New England. You run the ball. But what they do is they play that 6-man line. It's technically like a 5-1 or a 6-1, and then they play bump and run man on the outside, and it's really unique and different. But the problem is with playing bump the run man is that you get a team like Kansas City that's got a lot of different weapons. Okay. I'm sorry. You know what, Golden Rooster? Let me backtrack. This year, I did a preview video and I talked base about this, is that what I thought this would be the end of New England's dynasty because normally they promote defensive coordinators from within. Well, this year they went outside their circle and signed Greg Schiano. Greg Schiano was head coach at Rutgers, then took the job in Tampa Bay. Then I think he was at Ohio State where he left along with what's his name? Urban Meyer. And both these guys are really, really, really close to Bill Belichick. So Bill Belichick hired Greg Schiano. Then Greg Schiano took the job for a week and then said, look, I got to spend some time with my family. It sounded weird and suspicious, but so Bill Belichick, for the first time in his coaching career, went outside the circle. Then he took over as defensive coordinator, and they've given up 10 points. So who did they get? Well, they got Bill Belichick to be defensive coordinator, to be more hands-on. It's the first time he's done this in a long, long time, or at least publicly. And they've had a great season. And you're right, Argo. I think the Patriots are the best team in the AFC. And I believe defense wins championships, but the Ravens just beat the shit out of them. Kansas City can beat the shit out of them, but they got to do it a different way. They got to do it with big plays and winning one-on-one matchups against tight man coverage, which you don't see very often. And this is a good thing too. This is a young player that they got. You're 100% Argo. But the kind of touch point here with the Ravens beating the shit out of New England, look at this playoff picture here. Look at these top three teams. Kansas City is probably the team that after the bye is going to be the best out of the three. And that's just facts. How many people would be scared shitless of the Chiefs if they beat New England up in Foxborough? So, I mean, and you're 100% Frank Clark. Now, keep in mind, he went against a rookie left tackle who was like the third string dude, but still with Frank Clark playing better, Chris Jones coming back healthy. This team is really, really, really scary. The Kansas City Chiefs are a team to fear. I 100% agree with you, Golden Rooster. 100% agree with you. They peaked way too soon. They're using him way too much. He's getting way too much hype. He's going to get killed. Don't you remember Robert Griffin was doing the same exact thing? So Thursday Night Football is going to be actually, yes, Tim, this is great. You know what? I'll touch base on this in a second. I'll leave this comment up. This is just going to be a great week for the playoffs because Houston will play Indianapolis. The winner will have that looks like currently. Now, if the Colts win, the Colts would actually have the 3 seed and the Chiefs would have the 4 seed. Pittsburgh, Tennessee, those two teams legitimately still have a chance for that 6 seed. So, but let me talk about this. Dalton Risner, if you don't know, Dalton Risner went to K-State, and what he was a 4-year starter, played at both guard and tackle. So, and he played left tackle at K-State. He was one of the best linemen in the draft. So what the Broncos did, and it was very smart what they did, is they moved him inside to let his athleticism shine, because what they're using is that zone read offense. They're kind of going back to that, it looks like. I think they tried playing more of a smash mouth power offense, but the last couple of weeks they haven't been doing that. They've been using getting their tackles kind of move. Zone read, if you're not familiar, is that what you want to do is have all your linemen move to one side or to the other like a sweep. And then what you do is your running back runs with them and then just looks for a hole, and that's why they call it a zone read, because he doesn't have a designed hole, and he just plants one foot and gets straight up field. But you need to have guards. It sounds easy. But it's really not. You take a guy who's 300 pounds who has to just turn and sprint out, trying to outrun linebackers to get to a particular spot. And then you got your running back. And keep in mind, it doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but I'm about 170. All right. If you told me I had to just turn and sprint about 30 yards and keep doing it again and again and again, it's not as easy as it sounds. But Dalton Risner is if he plays in that type of offense, he's going to have a very bright future. Now, if you play in a drive blocking offense where his job is just to blow a defensive tackle right up the ball, and that's kind of what they were doing earlier in the season, it looked like to me, because I saw a lot of running in between the tackles, and that's not good for the Denver Broncos. His career is not going to be great because he's athletic, and using him in a guard and a zone read system is perfect. And Dalton Risner is going to have a bright career. And Denver Broncos, believe it or not, are really a team I think is going to be dangerous in 2020 because you're going to get Drew Lock. Okay, you're going to get Drew Lock. No offense, you're just seeing what type of future he could have the last couple of weeks. The talent's unbelievable. The talent's unbelievable. And you have some good running backs, but your tackles are shit. The tackles are pure shit, and that's the big reason why they're not able to close games out. So if the Broncos are smart, they fix the tackle situation. Remember, they signed they lost Paradis to Carolina. There's also a big reason why Christian McCaffrey is an MVP candidate. He's nowhere near winning because they're 5-5, but they need to fix that offensive line. But Dalton Risner has a bright future. Do you remember what happened last year, Golden Rooster? The Ravens beat the Chargers in LA and then played them 3 weeks later and got the shit kicked out of them. And the same thing would happen. I don't fear the Ravens in the playoffs. I really don't, whether you play them here in Kansas City or in Baltimore. But I do think it'd be better for Kansas City to have a bye. So, but I mean, as you can see here, the playoff picture gets really, really exciting. But Baltimore's schedule is just brutal. Baltimore schedule's brutal. Who I think will get the final playoff spot? Because here's what's going to happen. I'm spoiler alert. New England's going to win the East. Baltimore's winning the North. I think the winner of this game Thursday will probably win the South. The problem with Indianapolis is T.Y. Hilton come back. If he does, that's huge because he's really destroyed Houston. But even though Houston looked really bad against Baltimore last week, I could see them winning and then getting hot enough to finish up that division. They still got they got a really good quarterback and they still got a good defense. All right. If the Colts win, that's a dangerous team. Marlon Mack going out, that does hurt them. But if they get T.Y. Hilton back and Brissett's healthy, that defense is pretty good. So the Colts, this is basically Thursday Night Football. The winner of that game probably wins the South. And even though the Raiders are going to be 7-4, probably, they're going to play Kansas City, who's also going to be 7-4 because they're on a bye. They're going to play for the first spot in the West, and it's going to be fun. But don't buy into this. The Raiders are a great team. Yes, they've gone 7-2. And yes, they've played great. But they got a young defensive line, and they got a rookie running back. And even though the schedule looks good, they're going to lose to Kansas City. They're going to lose another couple games. Even though they could be 2 games up, I think that they're going to not make the playoffs. So here's how the playoffs are going to work. You got New England, you got Baltimore, the winner of Indianapolis and Houston, Kansas City. You got the Bills, who are 7-3. And even though their schedule gets tough, they're still probably going to win, 10 games. They're going to probably have the 5 seed. I think Pittsburgh makes the playoffs. I really do. I know it sounds crazy. I like the way they play. So, but it could easily be the Raiders, or it could be the Colts. You never know. There's a lot of football left to play. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cleveland Browns at 4-6 still have a shot. They still have a shot. And keep in mind, and my buddy Tim, if you're still there, I know how much you love the Browns. That team's talented. That team's very talented. They could get hot, go 9-7, be very dangerous. I don't say it. I think they're a team that's waiting for 2020. All right, well, let's talk NFC here. The NFC is a little different. I took out every team that doesn't have a chance to mathematically win 10 games. If you've been watching me, I've been telling you it's almost since September. It's going to take 10 wins in order to get to the playoffs this year in the NFC. And I think that there could be a 10-win team on the outside looking in. All right. And the best part is Sunday Night Football has the 1 and the 2 seed going against each other. It has San Francisco at home playing Green Bay. Great game. Great game. But let's break down the NFC East, because this to me is the only there's only going to be one winner, or I'm sorry, one playoff team in the NFC East. I mean, look at this. I mean, Philly realistically can win. Well, let me back up here. Dallas is 6-4, and their schedule gets really brutal. At New England, Buffalo on Thanksgiving, at Chicago, the Rams at home, at Philly, then they end the season at Washington, or home against Washington. They're one game up on Philly and did beat Philly, but Philly's schedule's a little easier. But it starts off tough. Remember, we already talked about this. All right, they're going to play Seattle at home. All right, and they're favored, which I'm surprised about. I'm really surprised. Then you got Miami on the road. You get the Giants at home. You got Washington on the road. Then you get Dallas at home, and then you get at New York at the Jets to finish the season. I mean, I could see 2 losses, but I'm looking at 9-7. All right. The problem is, can the Cowboys do the same thing? And I think they can. I think they lose at New England. I think the Rams beat them at home. And that will put them at 10-6. But basically, they'll need to sweep Philly. So I see Dallas winning the East at about 10-6. Dude, you know what? Why not? You know, seriously, Jacksonville runs the table. Let me tell you something. If Jacksonville won the table, if Jacksonville runs the table, how scary would they be to get in the playoffs? I wouldn't want to play them. I really wouldn't want to play them. Three wins from the Cowboys, Golden Rooster. You know, I could see that. I here's what I have with Dallas: losing to New England, winning Buffalo, winning at Chicago, losing to the Rams, beating Philly, and then beating Washington. So I got 4-2. If you're talking about Dallas, so that's kind of what I'm looking at right there. And you know what, man? I could see something like that. However, I don't know if because look, the Saints had a chance for the 1 seed. Now they're at the 3 seed, and the Saints are a team that really needs a bye. And I'm spoiler alert, I think the Saints are going to get a bye. I really do. I think they're going to get a bye. And the reason why I say that is here's the thing. San Francisco schedule. Even if they win, listen to this schedule. Green Bay at home, at Baltimore, at the Saints, Falcons at home. According to Golden Rooster, that's a loss. Go Falcons. Rams at home, at Seattle. They're currently 9-1. I could see them going 11-5. I could see them going 11-5. I really could. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But there's going to be a team, either the Seahawks or the 49ers, that are going to be 11-12 wins and be a wild card. I mean, look at this right now. You got an 8-3 and an 8-2 team that are wild cards. How crazy is that? I mean, how nuts is that? What a great year to be in. What a great year to be in the NFC. You know what? I've said this a lot. I think the last 2 years, I thought the Saints were the best team in football. I really do. Last year, they everybody knows about last year. What about 2 years ago, the miracle in Minneapolis? I mean, if they win that game, do they beat Philly? Remember, they beat Philly like 45-7. No, that was next year. I got my years mixed up. Would Philly have beaten the Saints to get into the Super Bowl? Let's just say for argument's sakes, if the Saints get into the Super Bowl instead of Philly, do the Saints beat the Patriots? They could. Bottom line, I think the Saints, for me, the Saints are the best team in football. And the reason why I say that is the defense is lights out. Booger McFarland, and a lot of people hate him. I actually enjoy him, but I've heard better announcers, but I do enjoy Booger McFarland. He was adamant that Michael Thomas should be an NFL MVP candidate. Best receiver in football, I don't know. I give more credit to Drew Brees, but you got a team that's got offensive skill position talent with really good defense. Are they going to the Super Bowl? They should have went last year. They should have went the year before. I say yes because I think they're the best team in the NFC, but who knows? He's saying LOL because the Falcons are going to sweep the Super Bowl, the NFC Super Bowl contestant in the Saints. And I can't wait for the offseason to find out what's going to happen with your Falcons, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, I mean, and then here's the thing with Green Bay. Let me ask you this here. Okay, we talked about Green Bay. We talked about the Saints. We talked about the 49ers. Who is the one NFC team who's undefeated at home? Who is the only undefeated NFC team at home? I'll give you a hint. It's the 6th seed right now. That's right. It's the Minnesota Vikings. What happens to the Vikings, who are the only NFC team who's undefeated at home? What happens if – you're right. I think they do. I think they do. DQ is staying. Let me ask you this. What happens if Minnesota wins the North? All right. Green Bay's got to travel to San Francisco for Monday night. These two teams got to play again. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. I don't agree with that, Rooster. Okay, DQ, it took me a second, but Golden Roosters Falcons fan, Dan Quinn, no, Dan Quinn's going to be gone. And the reason why is that they really went all in this year on the draft, and it didn't work out. What will happen is Quinn will go to a team as a defensive coordinator. The question is, do they keep do they keep Dimitroff there and just try to reload, or do they blow the team up? And that's why I think that they're an exciting. I'm telling you right now, the Falcons don't have as many holes as people thought. I said this a couple weeks ago. You still got a Hall of Fame quarterback. I for my money, even though he's having a down year by his standards, Julio Jones may be the best receiver in football. I always get the two mixed up. Calvin Ridley and Stephen Ridley. Is Stephen the receiver or is Calvin? I always get two mixed up. But let's just say, you know who I'm talking about, Ridley. He's a legit number 2. You get 2 second-round picks because you traded Sanu. I mean, you got offensive line who's not playing great, but you made a lot of draft capital in there. So those two players, when they come back next year, there is a big reason. This I disagree. Because in the offseason, what did they do? They signed 2 offensive linemen. Then what did they do in the draft? They drafted a guard, Chris Lindstrom, at 12. Now, he got injured, so he may be a great guard. Nobody had him going at 12. Nobody. All right? And I think it's kind of a fluky, weird thing, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But here's the thing: Dan Quinn is going to be fired, but the Falcons had a lot more holes in the offensive line. But you went all in on the offensive line, and it didn't work. All right, it just didn't work. So that's the reason why he's going to be gone. The question is, do you let go of Dimitrioff, who I think is just as responsible, because they had holes in that team. They had holes against the secondary. I mean, I'm not sold on the linebacking core, the defensive line. I can go on and on, but bottom line, the Falcons, to me, when I did my breakdown of them, I said that they had talent to win 9 games, but I would take the under anyway because the schedule was tough. The Falcons, if they don't blow up the team in 2020, I could see them winning 10, 11 games with a rookie head coach, and it'll be very interesting who they hire. Because do you go with an offensive mind or defensive mind? It'll be interesting. It'll be a very, very interesting thing. And Jimmy Stoneful, I am very, 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 very glad you asked this because this is a tough one. But the answer is maybe. And I say maybe because the defense should be better and the defense is not. The one thing that when I watch the Lions, I'm shocked in is how bad that defense is. Well, here's the thing with Quinn going to the Browns. The Browns got I forgot who their defensive coordinator was. I want to say he was the guy from Denver. No, he went to Arizona. I like who they got as the defensive coordinator, but I do think that the Browns made a mistake. They should have went with Greg Williams. But here's the thing. You get Matt Patricia, and he's supposed to be a defensive guy. All right, you end 2018 shutting out Green Bay and Lambeau, and every week you're giving up over 30. So I can make a strong case that you need to fire Patricia. But when you hired him, you were doing something completely different. Who was that guy? Who was that guy's name in? Oh God, I am so sorry. Who's the head coach before Patricia? Jimmy, offensive coordinator in Indy, and he came in here preaching that he would fix Matthew Stafford. Anyway, I thought it was a horrible decision because he wanted to win games in Detroit just like Indianapolis did. He wanted a small Caldwell. That's it, Caldwell. So when Matt Patricia arrived, they decided that they were going to be more physical in defense, which they weren't going to do under Caldwell. Caldwell wanted the fast, light defensive unit. They were going to run to Tampa 2. They were going to try to win shootouts. They were going to throw the ball all over the place. And it really don't get me wrong, I love Matthew Stafford, but the only reason why Matthew Stafford let me rephrase this. The only reason Jimmy Caldwell had success was because he had Peyton Manning running that offense. Matthew Stafford's not in Peyton Manning's class. I love Matthew Stafford. People don't appreciate how good he is. Is he one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the history of the league? No. And that's why I thought hiring Caldwell was a big mistake. Okay. Here's the problem, Jimmy, is that Caldwell's offense and what Patricia wants to do are night and day. Patricia wants to be physical. Caldwell wants to run a finesse team. And that's why I can argue that you don't fire Patricia is because what he's doing should take longer than 2 seasons because he's trying something completely different, but it's looked terrible on defense. I have to see another couple weeks, but if this defense still is giving up 30 points a week every week, I think yes. But here's the problem. All right, here's the problem, Jimmy, is that who do you get to replace Patricia? And with Stafford staying or Stafford staying on the bench, do you move on from Stafford? Because if you do go with a new coach, I think you go with a new quarterback. And I hate to say it, but if you're gonna go and blow it up, go and blow it up and start with a quarterback because you're going to have a high draft pick. Me personally, if the defense shows some improvement, I say give Patricia one more year. But I had high expectations for the Lions. I can't believe the defense looks this bad. And the defense looks horrible. All right. Now, keep in mind, like I said here, everybody who's got a mathematical chance to win 10 games, unfortunately, the Lions at 3-6-1 can only go 9-6-1. Jimmy, am I correct? You got +7. I'm pulling for you, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, but you know I'm pulling for you. I would have made that same bet. I would have made that same bet in a heartbeat. Yeah, they better fucking beat Washington. Yeah. By the way, it's only 18 and above here. Only 18 and above. Not for kids. Andrews football, not for kids. So I'm going to use the F word more. I said I can say fuck now. I don't even know why I did that. Yeah. I don't give up, but yeah, I'm pulling for you. And I'm going to tell you something. It was a smart bet, and I would have made it. I would have made it too. It was a smart bet. You have a team that's on the rise, that ended the season good. The defense looks sharp, and then you tell me, why does the defense suck? So I would like, okay, if I'm the Lions, even if I'm 5-11-1, or hopefully for you, Jimmy, hopefully 7-8-1. All right. And you're 100%. These are all winnable games. Let's say you win those 4, and you get your push. All right. Let's say you get 7-8-1. All right. I think if the defense looks decent, then yes. But if you give up between Washington, Chicago, Denver, and Tampa Bay is a little weird on its own. But if you're giving up 30 points to Washington, then you got to get rid of Patricia. So to answer the question, should you fire Patricia? I want to see more, but you can't give up 30 points a game and with the Detroit Lions, especially with the backup quarterback. So here's what I got as far as my playoff picture here. And I've been saying this for a while. The Seahawks are going to win the West. All right. The Seahawks are going to win the West. And I'll say this again. San Francisco, Green Bay at home on Monday night, at Baltimore, at New Orleans, Atlanta at home, the Rams at home, at Seattle. I can see them going about 11-5, maybe 12-4. Seattle, I think, wins that division. All right. The South, Saints are up 3 games. Okay. I mean, and I think the Saints are going to get by. All right. Spoiler alert. Saints are going to get a bye. All right. In the North, Green Bay plays San Francisco Monday night. Even if San Francisco wins, I still don't have them winning the West. I got Seattle winning it. But if Green Bay does win, do they get a 2 seed or do they get a 3 seed? They're tough. They're tough to beat up there. But the thing is, Minnesota is the only NFC team that's unbeaten at home. And they look night and day different, except for that turd of a game against Denver, which is really cool because they had the I don't know how it was for the rest of the country, but here's how it was here in Kansas City. They have, and this is this is smart. I'm fucking pulling for you, Jimmy. They had the Houston Baltimore game on, and in about middle of the fourth quarter, when the score was 20, I want to say 23-13, they switched over to Minnesota and Denver. Now Denver's not that good of a team, but they really should have won that game. But it also says how explosive Minnesota can be. Now, if Minnesota gets a 2 seed, watch out. They're tough at home, but I don't see it happening. I think that if Green Bay wins, I think Green Bay is going to win that division. I think Minnesota's a wild card team. And then I also think that the winner, or I'm sorry, I think it was going to be San Francisco. But let me ask you this here: how many people? Let me ask you this here: the Rams are going to play at home the Baltimore. I actually could see the Rams winning this game. I mean, I really could. It'll be very interesting to see what they do. But Wade Phillips, I think, is going to have a really good game plan. I'll spoiler alert. I kind of like the Rams in this game, but not enough to put action on them. How would you feel if the Rams got that last wild card spot? So I mean, who would have to? Would San Francisco would have to go from 9-1 to 11-5, or maybe 10-6? Minnesota laid some eggs on the road. But let me ask you this: if the Rams figure a way to get into the playoffs, how dangerous are they? I mean, I'm talking healthy Gurley. Wide receivers are all healthy. I don't see it because they've had a lot of injuries around the offensive line. And last year, the reason why they went to the Super Bowl is they had all 5 starters play all 16 games. This year, they've had multiple combinations. And if you follow Andrews football, it's the offensive line. It's the offensive line. You want to know if the team's doing good or not? Look at the offensive line. If you have a bad offensive line, you have a bad team. But Jimmy, this is great. This is a great bet, and I think you're going to collect. And what'd you get? What was it? Plus 230? Am I remembering right? Did I get that right? But whatever action you got, you deserve better and you deserve more. And I think you're going to get it. I think you're going to get it. I think you're going to win. This is a good bet. Here's the problem. They had Robert Woods out. He missed the game. It was something game time too. It was some game time decision. And then Brandon Cooks, the receiver they traded the number 1 for not too long ago, he's been out. But the problem is if they can fix the offensive line and get healthy, they're dangerous. I didn't think Minnesota would be this good, to tell you the truth, because they're up and down, up and down. If you look on the road, they're 3-3. At home, they're 5-0. Don't play Minnesota at home. I'm gonna tell you something. I got kind of a man crush on Minnesota. I was at Arrowhead. There was more Vikings fans than Chiefs fans. There really was. Chiefs fans should be ashamed. And they showed a lot of class. No, they explained the whole skull thing. It's actually really cool, but it's like for the first couple of for like the first quarter and a half, I'm like, what the fuck are they saying? And then there's Vikings fans everywhere. So I turned a couple of them behind me and I was like, man, what the hell are you guys saying? And they're like, oh, it's skull. It comes from a Viking term where they drink from the skulls of their enemies. That's what skull is, SKOL, is that they're drinking from the skull of their enemies. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And they showed a lot of class. There's this, you know what? I'm not even going to get into it. There's this annoying old lady, sits 2 rows up. She thinks she's hot. Like 30 years ago, maybe she was a 6, and she thinks she's hot. And anyway, she told the Vikings fans behind me, shut the fuck up. And I'm like, they were cool. They were totally cool. Classy people. Kind of got a man crush on the Vikings fans. So, but also it's interesting because I could see them moving on from Kirk Cousins after this year. Plus 140. That's right. That's right. And you know what? Okay. Hold on. All right, here. You got them making the playoffs, and you got plus 140 to make the playoffs. That's a fucking great bet because they went to the playoffs last year. You put that bet down before Clowney joined them. That's right. I hope so, but and this is a lock. I think they're going to lose a few games, but I mean, you got 3. You're up 3, and you got to win against Pittsburgh. I wasn't so sure about this a few weeks ago, so you got some bets that are going to pay out. And Jimmy, this is. Man, I love you, man. I'm glad you're here, man. This is what Andrews football is about, is expert football conversations about making some motherfucking money. All right. If you're somebody who's talking football, I had some Carolina fan like, "What are you hating on Cam Newton?" And I started, hey, you gonna put action on it? Well, I don't bet on football. All right. Don't question my football knowledge if you're one of these people. Well, I don't bet on football. I mean, I can't really do anything about that. uh, some casinos let you have your money back. I can't I don't know which ones did and which ones didn't. I actually thought that was a decent bet, to tell you the truth. I really did. It was funny. Some guy on Twitter posted he thought Luck had a better chance of winning MVP than Mahomes, and I agreed. I was like, yeah, I could see that. I could see it. If Luck was healthy, if Luck came into this season healthy, there's a very good chance that the Colts would be better than they are now, which they're not bad, and that he would be MVP. I thought Andrew Luck was amazing. I'm going to tell you something else. I think he comes back. I think Luck comes back 2021. I think he sits out next year, and I think he's going to watch a lot of guys that are making 20 to 25 to 30 million, and I think he's going to say, I can do that except better. And my body healed up. Let me just come back. 2021, I think Andrew Luck comes back. He'll be 29. Yeah. The only reason he retired is his body just kept betraying him. And I don't blame him either. But I think that I think he's getting healthy this year. I think he'll go through a whole season pain-free, but I think he's going to watch a lot of guys making 20, 25, $30 million a year. And then like I said, 2021, I think he comes back. You think Lynch comes back? Golden Rooster, you think Lynch comes back? I don't think he does. Lynch does a lot of stuff with the community, and I think he's pretty happy. Tim, if you don't mind, can you share that? If you can find that, can you share that with me? I would love to see that. Lynch did come back. Well, no. I know Lynch did come back. I don't think he's coming back again. That's what I was saying. I do think Luck comes back in 2021. He's not coming back again. He came back to the Raiders and he like retired and then he like came back, but he's not coming back again. You're not going to see Marshawn Lynch in 2020, and you're not going to find it. I appreciate it, man. I always love that. I follow several gambling sites on Twitter. I don't put action down on college. I did think Minnesota's luck would run out after that big win against Penn State, because I thought that there's no way they could get up for another big opponent on the road. But I don't know what the line was. I didn't even bother looking at it, but I knew they weren't going to win. But yeah, we agree, man. I mean, this is. I'm gonna tell you something. I love you guys because I'm getting some great comments. I'm getting some smart comments, and you're getting some betting insights. And it's not just for me, man. You guys are putting some really good ideas out there, and you guys said the same thing that I said. This week's not a good week. You know, Tim. When I do go up to Iowa, if you can come up and join me, check it out. They have poker there. So I don't play anymore. But if you still play for cash, you ought to check out that casino. It's pretty cool. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere, except for this gorgeous lake in the background. But this week is probably not a good week to put action down. Next week is a good week, especially that Kansas City Raiders game, because I could see the Raiders, even in a squeaker, I could see the line being small, even though it's at Arrowhead. spoiler alert, if the Raiders win, even in a slow game, I could see it being about like 4.5, 5, and I could see the Chiefs just beating the shit out of them. I mean, big. Andy Reid after a bye is gold. I will probably go. I'll tell you the truth, Tim. I want to see what the line is, but the line's acceptable. I'll probably go and put some action on the Chiefs sometime in the week, probably Saturday, probably a Saturday. So a couple Saturdays, we'll go, and then I'll come back and do the live stream. So I'll get a hold of you, but no, it's pretty cool. This year, this year, and then I haven't looked at the contract situation, but they do have some dead money on this contract. What will happen is Manning will be gone after this year. I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think Manning. I think there'll be a team that's going to need a quarterback, and I think what will happen is that there'll be a guy who gets injured, like in Jacksonville with Foles. I think something like that will happen, and Eli will step in. Or it could be a situation where you need a starter for a year. These quarterbacks that are coming out in the draft, and there's multiple quarterbacks that are going to be first round picks. Depending on, I watched the kid Jordan Love out of Utah State. I don't see a first round pick, but I keep seeing him climb up the draft board. I don't see it. Now I've watched him play 2 games. Both of them are blowout losses. I see the athleticism. I see the arm, and I don't see a first round quarterback. I don't see anything close, to be honest, but he keeps climbing. Bottom line, if you're an NFL team and you pick Jordan Love in the first round, you can't have him play a single down in 2020. If you draft a guy like Jordan Love, then you would be like, hey, Eli, can you come here for a year? We'll pay you $15-20 million for a year, and you babysit this guy. And if we suck, you'll play 8 games, and if we're in the hunt, you play full 16. But that a lot of questions are going to be answered in the offseason. I don't think Eli Manning retires, but I don't think he's going to be in New York. I think Phillip Rivers could be gone in L.A. I think Cam Newton is the guy who is going to be gone. So I mean, there's 3 big name quarterbacks that are going to be gone. It's Chase. Oh God, I forgot his name. I'm so embarrassed. He plays defensive end at Ohio State, and he's an absolute monster. He is the defensive end. He's kind of like Myles Garrett, except more physical. But this guy is going to be the best. He's the best player coming out in the draft. I watched both Bosa's, and he looks better. Yeah, Chase Young. Yeah. And I think he looks better in both Bosa's. His production's better, and I think he's more athletic. I mean, I think he's going to go to the combine and just light it up. I mean, this guy is going to be – seriously – okay, mock draft time. Let's say the Bengals have the first pick in the draft. They need a quarterback, so they're going to take a quarterback. They're probably going to take Joe Burrow, the quarterback at LSU. He's an Ohio kid. It makes a lot of sense. Whoever's number 2, now a lot of you have been following me, and a lot of you have agreed that the tank for Tua. But if you haven't heard, Tua may not even declare eligible. He's injured. He's out for the rest of the year. You may not have to trade up to number 2 to get him. But let's say he does come out and some team wants to get him. Some team may trade up. But what would be scary to me, now, the Redskins don't really play a 4-3. And this guy's a pure 4-3 end. The Redskins could get him because they don't need a quarterback. I've heard this, but I'm telling you right now, Chase Young's a better athlete. I'm not saying he's going to be a better player. I'm not saying he's going to be a better player, but he is a better athlete, and the production's better. He's just a monster. I mean, if you get a chance to watch Ohio State, they're a very, very good team, both sides of the ball. But that Chase Young really stands out. So I think that this could be a guy who's probably, if the Redskins have the second pick in the draft, and then I can see them doing that. Because Tua has that injury issue, a team's not going to have to trade up to number 2 to get a quarterback. So more than likely he'll be the second pick in the draft, and he's going to be really good. He's a guy that he's a guy depending. Well, anything could happen. Anything could happen, but I think Young's a guy who's going to come into the NFL and have like a Pro Bowl rookie season, barring injury and stuff like that. Tim, you're right. I think they do need a linebacker. And tell you the truth, I really like what they did this year, and they traded their first round pick for a player. And Frank Clark, I don't like that they give up a first and a second, $100 million. But if you told me we're giving up a first round pick for Frank Clark, I would love it. And I'm kind of hoping they do the same thing. I'm kind of hoping that, ideally they have the 32nd pick in the draft, but I mean, you're picking below 24. All right. When you're picking below 24, the Chiefs aren't going to trade up to get a linebacker. All right. Not in this system. So not in this system. So I don't really know. I would like to see the Chiefs trade a pick and get somebody, do like what the Rams did. So okay, Golden Rooster, I'm going to give you kind of a pussy answer here. Yes and no. And the reason why is that a lot of people will tell you that there's no difference in a 3-4 and a 4-3 anymore because teams are playing nickel now. And because teams are playing nickel, you're basically not ever playing in a base 3-4 or a 4-3. I don't believe that, but I do think that Vic Beasley was a 3-4 outside linebacker. I never thought he was a 4-3 defensive end, but because he's a lighter guy and he's really, really fast. So, yeah, you are using him wrong in a 4-3. I haven't watched enough of the Falcons. Do they even play him at outside linebacker? Because that's not really his fit. The thing is, though, Beasley can rush the passer. But he was getting banged up. He had, I think his rookie year, he did nothing. The second year, he had 13 sacks. And then the next year, he had injury issues. And that was part of the reason why I wasn't – that was a big reason why I didn't like the Falcons going all in on the offensive line, because when you're switching schemes like this, they needed to fill more holes, and they also had some problems in the secondary. But what they do in the offseason is going to be really interesting, because do you keep Beasley? Do you go back to a 3-4? Do you try to use him right? Or you just say, hey, look, we're going to run our system? There's so many big questions. Here's the thing. If you're a really good player, you just make plays regardless of the system. But certain players play better. Okay, it's like apples to oranges, but the Kansas City Chiefs drafted a player, Tamba Ali, to play in Herm Edwards' 4-3 Tampa 2 system. Fast, lighter, quick defensive lineman. And Herm got fired, so they took Tamba Ali, who was playing at 4-3 end. It's what he played at Penn State, and it was what he was drafted to do, and they were going to move into a 3-4 outside linebacker. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. But they used him more like a defensive lineman than a pure linebacker. And for the next several years, he was a monster. He was an absolute monster. But they took a player who really should have been playing defensive end, and they made him a linebacker. So I don't think that. I mean, yeah, and that's on coaching. That's on coaching, because He was raw. He was athletic, and he has one move. He goes outside, and he's got great speed. And here's another thing about Tack. This is really disappointing because coming out of UCLA, he was the same type of player. He had all this upside. He was extremely raw. And he only knew how to do one thing. You have two guys that know how to do one thing, and they just go around the edge. But in order to do that, you have to have dominant defensive tackles that both command double teams. So in theory, the 4-3 defense kind of sort of maybe made sense. No size, lots of speed, outside rushers that know one move, and that's go upfield. And if it doesn't work, they don't have a spin move. They don't have a counter. Tack had no idea what to do on a football field. He was so raw. But people thought because Anthony Barr played at UCLA also, and if you remember, Anthony Barr was a running back, and he was the same way. He knew how to do nothing, but they put him at linebacker, and he's a pretty good player. Turned down $75 million. Yeah, I heard that. That's all I heard about. Great motor, knows nothing to do on a football field. This was a big miss because the Falcons had so many holes on that defense, but went all in on the offensive line. So, but I'm going to touch base on this here, Tim. If it was up to me, I would have the Kansas City Chiefs trade and get a veteran. So, not quite that good of a player. I think Clowney's a better player, top to bottom, and Clowney can play against the run a little better. But the whole thing about the Falcons is that they're going to be a really interesting team in the offseason, because if they blow this team up, it's going to be sad for you because 2020 will suck. If they decide to just say, hey, look, we're going to have some really good draft picks. We got a Hall of Fame quarterback, some really good receivers. We have some talent on defense. Let's make this work. They could be a really fun team. They really could be a playoff team in 2020, or they could blow up the team, win 2 or 3 games, and then in 2021, 2022, maybe be good. You know, to me, I hate when teams do that. But look at the Raiders. The Raiders are a playoff team now if the playoffs were to start today, but they blew up the team last year and won 4 games. Miami, they're blowing up their team. They get a bunch of draft picks. Let's see what happens then. The Cowboys, they blew up their team, created a dynasty. So, maybe the Falcons would be a good idea to blow up that team. I still don't like it, even though it's had success in the past. That's just my opinion. Normally, I break down some games or I'll talk about some games. I'm going to spend next week talking about. I'm going to spend next week breaking down these games a little more. So next live stream, I'm going to go on here because there's really not a lot of games, but there's not a lot. Okay, it's a great week for football. Great week to be a fan. Excuse me. Not a great week to gamble. I could have sworn this was 4, but right now it's 3.5. Texans are a 3.5-point favorite. If T.Y. Hilton's healthy, if Mac can play. Now, I've missed the last 2 Thursday games. So by the way, even though it's funny, I'm sitting here and on a down note telling you I've missed the last 2 Thursday games, but give me a fucking thumbs up anyway. Over 18, no room for kids, not a kid-friendly show. We make some fucking money on this channel. We got some people who are going to have some good bets. I got 10.5. I feel good about it. I can't have 2 losses. But that New England game, I'm good with 1. So, but if somebody said, "Hey Dan, you're going to lose that bet. You're going to lose 10 betting units, but Chiefs win the Super Bowl." Okay. I'm 45. I've yet to see Chiefs make a Super Bowl, so why not? Some great games next week. None None I would put action on. I'm not versed well enough in college football to be able to give you any advice on college football, but I have been watching a lot of college football. Burrow, if you can get some side action on him winning the Heisman, but the numbers would probably be crazy. He's easily my Heisman favorite. Probably going to be the number one pick in the draft. Probably going to the Bengals. Chase Young, he's probably going number 2. As of right now, it looks like he's going to go to Washington. And that it's funny because that's a team built for a classic 3-4. And if they get Chase Young, they have to figure out a way to be like a pure 4-3. But who knows what the fuck Washington's going to do? I mean, they're probably going to get a new head coach. So, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if Dan Quinn goes there and becomes defensive coordinator. It'll be very interesting to see what's going on. But it's a great week for football. Hey, if you haven't already, I don't even have YouTube up. I don't have YouTube up, but it helps my analytics. Give me a thumbs up. But if you don't think I've done a good job, you watch my show and you're like, Dan, you fucking suck. Give me a thumbs down then. If I don't earn a thumbs up, don't give me one. You can give me a thumbs down. I don't care. I don't care. If I haven't earned it, don't give it to me. We went over playoffs today. I didn't really break down what happened this week. It was a lot of really good football. My Chiefs won a game, and a lot of Chiefs fans are unhappy, and I don't get it. All right? I don't get it. So I kind of want to end on this note here. I'm going to end on a question. And if you have a comment, great. If you don't, that's fine also. But I was happy with Monday Night Football because the Chiefs' defense made plays. All right? I know Mahomes could put up 30 on anybody, but the Chiefs' defense made plays. I was happy with Monday night. I was excited. We have a defense that's making some plays. What do you guys think? Was the Chiefs game a good thing or a bad thing? I thought it was a great thing. I know we got a great offense, and the offense was a little off. Fisher wasn't playing good. Mahomes isn't 100%. And I'll be but that's the thing. The defense stepped up. That's why I liked it. Let's go in order here. I'll go with both of these here. Which one do you like? Because I'm looking at this. The Browns are a 10.5-point favorite. You're counting on the Browns to cover 10.5? Yeah, it is. The money line's negative 290. I would not take that bet. The money line's going to be worse there. Money line's negative 550. I would not take that on anything NFL related, Golden Rooster. I would not bet $550 to win 100. Not on that game, not on the Browns. Not on the Browns. I would not take that bet. If you can get better, if you can get under 3, I would take that. I know. Yeah, I know. But he did make a play. He almost scored. And I said this at the beginning of the year. Honey Badger is going to score at Arrowhead. You're going to take 650? Ooh. Last week? Is that last week or out? Okay. I would not have liked that because it wasn't at home. That's the only reason. And by the way, I'm looking here. My screen's over here. I got to quit looking at that. I need to start looking more at my camera. I'm looking straight at you. I just have a bad attitude. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. I know the game because I liked Cincinnati to cover. It was 10.5. Don't take a road dog with 650. All right, that's a yeah. Tim, I joined a bunch of Facebook groups that promote my top 10 Chiefs of all time, and some of the responses I've been getting and some of the Chiefs fans I see on social media are really hurting me. But Exactly. I really would take Miami at 10.5 because this is a game I could see Cleveland coming out because they've been so wildly inconsistent. To tell you the truth, if you're going to take a bet, take Miami plus 400 to win. Take 4-1 odds because you're not betting on Miami, you're betting on Cleveland. But no, to 10.5, I actually like that bet. And I want to be clear, the only reason I'm not running to Iowa and putting action on this one is because Cleveland does have a lot of talent. And if they can get everything together, but keep in mind, your star defensive end is gone. It's a huge hole. So you nailed it. If I was going to play anything, I'd play Miami at 10.5 because Cleveland's wildly inconsistent. They just lost their best player. Miami, I haven't had a chance to watch the Miami. I watched part of Red Zone, and the offense isn't good, but I don't think Cleveland's defense is that good, and they lose their best player. So, yeah. No, I forgot about Myles Garrett. The Browns are just wildly inconsistent. That's why you can't bet on them. But at 10.5, I think would be a good bet. But they're so talented that's what scares me. But if you are going to bet, the only game that I really am interested in is Seattle. And I would take the money line at plus 105, but they're 1.5 point dog. If you want to take 1.5, you can do that. That's the only game I really like. Everything else, I think Vegas nailed. I'm kind of surprised Philly's favored, to tell you the truth. That's the only reason why. But, I mean, I get it. A West Coast team traveling to Philly. Philly's playing good. So, which team are you talking about? Philly or Miami? Oh, you realize how many people said that? How many people said that? And if you watch my video when I broke down every team, I said not this year. I said not this year. I said that they're talented. I thought that they would finish around I said around 800. I meant 8 and 8. Finish 500. But they're talented. I thought they got the wrong coach. I didn't think the OBJ move was as smart as they thought it was. It's kind of funny though. The Giants, what did they do with Peppers and those 2 draft picks? I mean, they're gonna win 2-3 games. Shermer may get fired, so it'll be interesting. But so here's the drill. Friday, I'm gonna have a live stream. Monday. Yeah. You know what? You could have made something up too. You could have told him Tennessee Tech, and he probably would have believed you. Yeah, there's a lot of people, Tim. Tim. Go to my Facebook page. I'm on like 12 different Chiefs fan book pages, and you can see stupid things in every single one of them. Like, and you don't even have to scroll down. You just go to like every single page, and you'll see some idiot fan. But it's bad. Here's the thing with the Browns is that all the talent's there, but I thought they made a mistake with the coach. The trade I don't think was as smart as they thought it was. But the Giants didn't do anything immediately with those draft picks. Immediately. All right. The first round pick they got from Cleveland, they used on that I want to say Wilkins, and he hasn't really done much. And then they traded back into the first round. They got Devontae Baker, who a lot of people thought was the best corner in the draft. I didn't. I thought Greedy Williams was better, and the Browns ended up getting him in the second round. He's played better so far. But if you look at the Browns as a whole, they got 2 really good corners in Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward. All right, they had a premier pass rusher, and he's probably going to play in 2020. Myles Garrett will probably play in 2020. All right, so you get him back. you need some more help on that front seven, but it's not a terrible front seven, even without Garrett. It's just not good. You have two really good corners, and then on offense, you got two stud receivers. You get I am drawing a complete blank now on his name, and I just talked about him on my other live stream. How much Njoku? You get David Njoku. He comes back from injury, and he's got all talent in the world. And then you got a young, good quarterback in Baker Mayfield, but you have to fix that offensive line. You have all sorts of issues on the offensive line, but the Browns have potential. You could go with Jets, and you wouldn't be wrong. I hate to say this, but you could also go with Atlanta. In free agency, you added two offensive linemen. Then you overdraft Chris Lindstrom with the 12th pick, and he's injured the whole year. Now, I don't blame the injury on the GM or the management, but you could go that. Then you trade back into the first round with McCrary. And the first thing he says was when he got drafted, well, I didn't think I was going to be drafted in the first round. That's a red flag. I don't want to hear that from a first round player that I didn't think I was going to be drafted in the first round. Even if somebody should have told him, hey, say you're excited and hug Goodell and don't go, well, I didn't think I was going to be drafted in the first round. That's not good. But I would probably go with Jets. But part of the thing with the Jets, though, is that how do you plan for a quarterback getting fucking mono? All right. I've been watching football for almost 40 years. I don't remember a quarterback being out with mono. I've had mono, and you can't. It's not like a cold or a flu where you can kind of work through it, or you're down. And that really retarded him because if you remember, Darnold should be graduating USC this year. I mean, he entered the NFL as a redshirt sophomore. And he had a bad first year. There's no talent on the team. Then he gets mono. But, yeah. Which defensive end? You talking Okafor? The Chiefs got Okafor. But yeah, you're all right though. The worst management of the team goes to the Jets. No question about it. You could go with Falcons because this was a team that really was in the right direction. Then I thought they mismanaged their offseason. Yeah. The problem, the thing is with the Falcons, though, is that Lindstrom in the start of 2020, he will be healthy. He'll be the starting guard. McCrary, he'll be the right tackle. Matthews, he'll be a starting left tackle. So your offensive line should ideally be really good. Then you still got a Hall of Fame quarterback. You still got two really, really, really good wide receivers. And you have to just find a way to fix that defense. But the Jets, they did some really stupid shit in the offseason. But their whole the thing is with the Jets, it's an organization. All right. Their GM spent big money on Le'Veon Bell. Then he spent big money on Mosley, the middle linebacker. Then they go through the draft, and then in June they fire him, and then the coach takes over as general manager. Then the coach goes public saying that they shouldn't have gave all this money to Le'Veon Bell and Mosley. And then in little other side note was I don't know if it was Gase or the offensive coordinator was the one who revealed to the NFL that Greg Williams did all that stuff with Bountygate. So it was like these two guys. So the offensive and defensive coordinators really had like their button heads in the offseason. They didn't like each other from that whole Bountygate situation. Because one of those guys was a whistleblower. I don't remember if it was Gase or the offensive coordinator. And then even in preseason, they were talking about how the offensive coordinators and the offensive staff don't get along with the Jets offensive coordinators and the offensive staff. Greg Williams, I still feel like should have got the Cleveland job. And the funny thing is when you watch the Jets, they're a retarded offensive team, but a pretty good defensive team. I love Jamal Adams. And you're right. They made all these moves, spent all this money, and have nothing. So, yeah, the Jets organization did some bad things. The thing is with the Jets is that they need to improve so many different ways just to get to 500. And the problem is you got Buffalo, who looks like they're building something really, really good. I think Miami, they're doing something because they got a bunch of draft picks. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% Golden Rooster, 100%. So the AFC East is really, really going to be competitive. But with the Falcons, I think they got a really good base for 2020. I really do, because the offensive line is probably going to be fixed unless Lindstrom gets hurt again or McCrary ends up sucking at right tackle, unless Matthews can't play left tackle, and I think he's serviceable. So you're going to be in good shape. So listen, hey, I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to go ahead and end it for the night. But hey, listen. You're 100% Golden Rooster. This is a great show. You guys had some great comments. You had some really smart things to say. I love doing the live streams. I love doing the interaction. I know I look over to the left a little too much. Or I'm sorry, to the right. You're right, my left. And I'll work on it. I got some improvement to go. And doing the live streams has been great. But unfortunately, due to the work schedule, I'll do it for this week and next week. Then I'm going to just do Saturday live streams just until wild card time. So, hey, Tim, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate that. I always want to hear the gambling content. And, man, I hope I get to run into you, man. And if you come to Iowa, man, I'm not going to play, but if you want to play in the poker room, I'd love to see what you do, man. I don't know if you play for cash. We'll get into that another time. But listen, if you're a subscriber to Andrew's Football, you already know you're one of the greatest people on planet Earth. All your wildest dreams are going to come true. But if you're new to my channel and you haven't done it already, there's this button right here. See it? See it? See it? Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. I'll see you guys Friday. Have a great week.